People often claim food is scarce in the wild, but these contestants are catching big fish regularly and stocking up. It seems they're not here to starve, they even found wild coffee. Their days keep improving. I wonder if anyone else would want to try this. On day 30, Lars didn't think eating a fish head would break his tooth. It turns out his body isn't in great shape. He'll need to replenish himself properly when he gets back. Hopefully, this won't impact the rest of his challenge. The storm hit, and the crew informed the contestants. They were told to stay in their shelters and avoid the water. Lars, however, ignored this advice. He planned to check his fish net, thinking that just checking it from the shore wouldn't be too risky. He wasn't expecting to catch any fish, he just hoped the net wasn't damaged. Soon, Lars reached the shore to inspect it. It seemed like there wasn't much impact, just a slight rise in water level. The net was intact and even had a fish in it. Lars felt lucky to catch a fish despite the odds. Meanwhile, Camilla decided to stay in. Resting in the shelter was a smart move. Catching the mice was crucial, she couldn't let them steal her food. She feared the mice would damage her sleeping bag. Losing it here would spell failure, so she needed to eliminate them. She set as many traps as she could, hoping the mice would come. Chris's predicament was clear. The water level had risen significantly in an area that was usually dry, submerging the rods he had placed on the shore. Luckily, his shelter was on higher ground, otherwise he would have to move. The only problem was that his rack was still there. He couldn't go down to move it. If the water level didn't drop, he wouldn't be able to catch fish with his net. He could only head back to the shelter and craft keepsakes, wondering about his kids. If he couldn't find food later, he'd need to return to his kids if he couldn't find food. He hoped the storm would clear by tomorrow. Lars still considered leaving a line to fish. Even if he lost it, he wouldn't mind. If he caught a fish, it would be a big win. Although life here was full of challenges, he really wanted to go home now. He decided to wait until the storm passed. He quickly cleaned the fish. I'll head back to the shelter to cook it. Abalone and grilled fish make a great combo. The only issue is the limited firewood. I'll wait until the fish are smaller to gather more firewood. Camilla meditates, waiting for the mice, which soon appear. And they are playing around near the trap, having a great time. Unfortunately, one triggers the trap. Camilla quickly steps in to finish it off. She makes a potato cake but hates it, so she chucks it away. Hopefully, this will keep the mice away. Chris wonders how many contestants remain. Seeing a photo always makes him want to go home. He doesn't want to almost win like last time. This time, he hopes to use his longing as motivation. But he can't hold back his tears and cries on camera. Surviving in the wild makes you feel so lonely. It's worse than hunger. The storm is worse than expected. Lars stays in the shelter, observing. He hopes the drainage ditch holds and prevents flooding. Chris's water level has risen a lot and he needs to find more food. But post-storm, supplies are gone. He cooks a hearty meal, hoping his family feels his love from afar. What do you all think of this food? First, cut the mushrooms and put them in the pot to boil. Next, toss in the smoked fish. My mouth waters just thinking about it. On day 31, Lars finally sees the storm pass. His lasted longer than his previous challenge. Although there's more food this time, his body still feels very tired. For him, this challenge is already a win for him. Now, it's about how long he can hold out. He hopes his family can join in the celebration. Do you think Lars can achieve his goal? After Camilla got rid of the mouse, she slept much better at night. She knows there's still one more mouse to catch and hopes to get it soon. After the storm, the crew checks the contestants' health. They've lost a significant amount of weight. Only Chris broke a tooth. Everyone else is doing okay. After a thorough check, everyone can continue the challenge. Chris now needs to try catching fish. Due to the rising water levels, he needs to rearrange things, which is tougher than he thought. Changing the rack's direction seems best. That way, it will be easier to hang. Now it should be more convenient. He thinks this will definitely help him catch fish. Camilla's spot is swampy, nearly flooding the fire pit, and worst of all, it's littered with mouse droppings. She wishes she could just burn it all down, but for now, she can only use high heat to disinfect, hoping the food stays safe. Her body feels much better now. She hopes it will dry up a bit later because she feels completely soaked. If this keeps up, they'll freeze for sure. Lars' drainage ditch is useless, and the fire pit is buried in sand. It's already a mud pit. They use spruce branches to level it out, and it works well. It's much drier than before. The only worry is that sparks might ignite the area, as the surrounding wood is quite damp. Lighting a fire takes a lot of time. They need to quickly feed the fish to the main uncle. It's day 32 of the challenge. Chris feels much better now. With the good weather, he plans to explore further. He hopes to find new scenery and gather food, though it's unclear how much weight is lost. You can tell from his face that it's a lot. He looks like skin and bones. Camilla finally feels the weather drying up. She stopped stressing over firewood now that the water levels have dropped, and she feels life improving. Lars is planning to pack up and go fishing. He's already broken his personal record, and now he feels motivated to do anything. Lars feels no pressure at all. Meanwhile, Chris heads up the mountain and discovers some tasty white fungus. This tasty treat is even better with smoked fish. Just imagining it makes his mouth water, and he feels the trip was worth it. He stops to rest and shares photos. Chris hasn't seen his kids in a long time and wonders how they are doing. Camilla feels fit and has no trouble chopping and storing firewood. She feels like she's enjoying nature, not just surviving. Chris finds new food again. These juniper berries are great for seasoning fish, making smoked fish even tastier. Even the spring water here is great. Although her body has burned a lot of energy, she feels it's worth it. She can go back to the shelter to rest. It's truly a wonderful adventure. Lars just wants to catch more fish to eat. Unfortunately, luck isn't on his side today. He feels he's done enough and is considering whether to go home. Camilla started making souvenirs again. He remembered a contestant who made a huge trophy, but he thought size didn't matter. Looking good was more important. On the 33rd day of the challenge, Camilla saw another mouse. She felt it crawling on her as she slept, unsure if it was real or imagined, but the bite seemed to hurt. There was even feces on the souvenir she made. He couldn't accept that and really wanted to burn everything clean. Lars lay there, utterly bored. Since surpassing the last challenge, he felt unmotivated. It made him very irritable. He really wanted to blow up the shelter. With the current weather, he was too lazy to go out. He just lay down and slept. Chris was in a good mood, preparing to make some white fungus for breakfast. He planned to grind it into powder and bake it. It could actually be drunk like coffee. It smelled a bit strange, but overall it was pretty good. Camilla returned to her old shelter. She planned to renovate it and make it her happy place. She had already covered the platform. Everyone was curious about her plans. Chris's net snagged another fish, and he felt he was getting the hang of it. Another fish to eat. Camilla felt she had lost a lot of weight. She hadn't been this slim in a long time. She recommended this experience to anyone wanting to lose weight. She felt if she continued, she might look even better. Now she worried about rapid weight loss causing issues. He feared the show might force him to quit. On day 34 of the challenge, Camilla finally caught a fish. She was overjoyed and felt capable again. She quickly brought it back to cook and eat. Things were going well, though she felt a bit lonely without her girlfriend. He wondered how many contestants were left. Lars just wanted to stay by the fire to keep warm. Chris missed his family a lot. He kept updating his progress with their photos. With their wedding anniversary approaching, he wondered if he'd see his wife that day. Lars found these days extremely boring. He wanted to go home quickly to celebrate with his family. On the 35th day of the challenge, before dawn, Camilla got up to drink her urine. She relied on this holy water to keep going. She wondered if others thought it was useful. Anyway, Camilla drank it happily and felt her body getting better. Lars was bored and showed things to the camera. He hasn't seen his family in ages, and his mood keeps sinking. He's questioning the purpose of carrying on. Now, he just tends to the fish net and gathers firewood daily. It's unbearably lonely and miserable. If this keeps up, he'll drive himself crazy sooner or later. Camilla plans to turn her old hut into a bathhouse so she can relax there. Like this bone, it's a pretty good instrument. She was very happy chewing on it. Chris now wakes up to a cup of white fungus coffee. It tastes delicious, no worse than coffee outside. The most important thing is that it's free here. It's 100% pure and pollution-free, guaranteed to have no artificial additives. Camilla feels like she's going home soon. She's preparing to collect some stones to take back. Her girlfriend is a stone enthusiast and loves beautiful stones. She hopes to make her happy with them. Lars is even more eager to go home now. Despite his strong chance of winning, he's lost the drive to stay in the challenge. But going back to be with his family is more important. Chris, needless to say, complains to photos every day. It feels like everyone wants to quit and go home. Do you think Huisyan will give up and go home? Now it's not about survival skills, but it's about who has the stronger will. Everyone knows this, but they can't help it. Now it's day 36. Chris is fishing again, and the weather is getting colder. He feels like going back to lie down. Camilla's nose is red from the sudden cold. She plans to celebrate in her small hut today. She wants to make a bonfire to keep warm. Once the stones are heated, she can take off her clothes and enjoy. She hasn't felt this relaxed in ages. She wishes you were here. The steam bath is incredibly comfortable. She feels like she could stay longer without any issues. She lost track of time but feels much better now. She feels like her bad luck is gone and she really wants to hug you. She finally achieved what she couldn't in the last challenge. She finally did this time. She doesn't know how many contestants are left. She hopes the challenge ends soon. Lars feels his body weakening and loses the will to continue, aimlessly walking along the shore. Chris is physically drained, pushing on purely through willpower. Each day feels tougher than the last. The show's boat is approaching the contestants. Who do you think will drop out? I bet Lars will. After all, he has no motivation. The others are still trying, but surprisingly, Camila just announced she's leaving. No one could have guessed this. Even the showrunners are surprised. Given her current condition, she could easily last another week. Camila believes she can keep going, but she misses her girlfriend. No prize money can sway her. She just wants to go home. It's a bit of a shame. I thought Camila would last longer. Now she's packing up all her things to leave. She's so happy and can't wait to fly home. But is it really safe for him to drink his own urine daily? He just complained about the annoying rats, but now one has saved him. He can't believe it and leaves some food for it. Reflecting on his arrival, he never imagined he'd get this far. If he competes again, he hopes his girlfriend can join him. After Camila leaves, only Chris and Lars are left. Who do you think has a better chance now? The food they have stored is irrelevant now. It's all about who wants to go home more right now. Chris appears to be mentally stronger, staying optimistic and focused on improving his situation. On the 37th day, Chris wakes up and gets ready to check his fishing net, hoping there's a fish in it. He quickly lifts the net and is surprised to find a big fish caught in it. This fish is crucial. It'll not only satisfy his hunger but also lift his spirits. With this catch, I believe he's secured the prize money. Chris gets emotional, wishing his family were here. He won't give up after landing that big fish, right? Meanwhile, on day 38, Lars's mood keeps sinking. He's even reluctant to check his fishing net now. He doesn't know what's wrong with him, he just can't muster any interest. Plus, he's feeling very unwell, with frequent dizziness and nausea. He's nothing like his energetic self before. He seems genuinely ill, and not catching any fish for 3 days has taken a toll on his mental state. On the 39th day, Lars finally catches a fish, but he doesn't look happy at all. Not sure if eating the fish will lift his spirits. Hopefully, he can push through. Meanwhile, Chris catches a cold. Feeling unwell, he stays in the shelter, planning to quit after eating his fish. He really doesn't have the energy to go outside. By the 40th day, the weather is extremely cold. Even the fire isn't enough to keep warm, you'd want to crawl into it. The show's crew arrives again. Maybe someone is quitting. Unexpectedly, Lars decides to go home today. If he knew Chris would win after he left, would he still choose to quit? Lars feels he's done enough by lasting this long. He doesn't want to end up in the hospital. It's getting harder to find food. He did well earlier, but luck ran out. When Lars boards the boat and quits, Chris is declared the winner. On the 42nd day, the crew checks on Chris. He hasn't realized he's won yet. His family is invited to celebrate. The kids are thrilled to see their dad. Only his wife knows how tough it was. Chris is talking to the crew when he suddenly sees his family and gets so emotional he can't speak. It's been so hard. The kids nearly pass out from the fish smell. Chris, feeling this moment is priceless, shares his meal with them. The fish is delicious. Chris dreams of his son joining the challenge someday. Congrats to Chris for his win. Who will take on the next challenge?